You're my Noe.
I don't know that bit.
You
Oh,
should know
what's
that.
that? The content of this meeting is. Oh,
Here we go. We're
yeah.
streaming to. Oh,
I
it's
think
working.
it's working now.
Brilliant.
Yep.
Right, magical. We're live in Facebook. Good evening, Facebook group. I'm going to close mine down, or it'll get lots of echoes. Let's just let Roshana in. Brilliant, fantastic. Well, if you're watching live in Facebook, welcome. If you're here in the room, welcome. If you're watching the replay, welcome. Lots of welcome. We'll just let Roshana get settled and then we'll get cracking. Okay, Imagineering. Now, Imagineering is a thing. It exists. I've never studied it, so I don't know what that thing is. Michael Fall gave a beautiful description of how I would have seen it. I think from something he's already seen and studied. So thanks, Michael. That was awesome. But I've never studied it. So what you're getting is what I see, what I see from my own experience to be possible. So one of the things I'd invite you to do is to forget everything you know about it. Like if you've come across this before, if you've heard somebody else talk about it, forget it. Ignore it. Start from scratch completely. I'm not paying much attention to what I think I know beforehand because I don't want my knowing in the way of whatever can come through in the moment. So my invitation to you is do the same. Secondly, it's perfectly possible that in the course of the next few minutes, you're going to have a flat forehead moment. And if you do, and you get utterly and totally filled with inspiration and just want to run off and create something magical and do that in the world, please take this as a signal to go and do it. It's perfectly viable that even in this, you'll suddenly see something for yourself about what's possible to imagine and create and just want to go and do it. So if you needed permission, that was permission. If it strikes you and you hear it, go with it. Because really that's what this is pointing to. People still coming in. So I'll just ramble a little bit more. And thirdly, pay attention to where you are currently and keep your attention on you currently. Don't worry too much about what I say. Don't worry about the content of what I'm saying. Let it all just wash over you. Instead, think about what it's possible to create. Put your attention on that and keep it on that. And just notice how you feel about whatever it is you're thinking, because your feeling is going to be your guide for this evening. It's going to steer you. It's going to point you towards whether what you're thinking is a fantastic thing and is divinely inspired, or whether it's just some bunkum that the mind's come up with. So follow the feeling, and that will keep you in line. So I thought we'd start with a bit of a story. That seemed like a good place to start. And this story starts in the beginning. It's a pretty famous story, actually, but there's a garden. It's a pretty cool garden, actually. Contains everything you could ever want. And there's a man and a woman in the garden, and they're just kind of hanging out. And then one day this creature comes up and goes, "Oi, girly, there's a thing on the tree, and if you eat it, you're going to be able to see what God can see." And for some reason, the fruit is consumed. And from that point on, the innocence of being in the abundant garden is challenged and is changed. And that happened to all of us at some point. All of us were in the garden of innocence. And at some point, that lot, think it happens sometime around 8 or 9 months of age, where separation starts to appear as real, where we fall into the dream that our thinking is the reality. And everybody looks, talks, and behaves and feels as if that's true. It's just not. That alone is probably one of the most powerful realizations you can ever have. that you're in a garden of your own mind. And the more that you see that, the more you can plant in that garden, whatever it is that you want to grow. You don't have to have other people's seed packets, old seed packets that have been left over from generations previously. You can chuck them out. You can weed it and you can put in whatever it is that you want to grow in your garden. And the better the feeling, the more divinely inspired whatever it is you're inspired to grow. So at some point, we all fell into the dream of the mind. And it feels real because we know that's the thought-feeling connection. Whatever you think, you feel. And so it feels completely and totally real. It feels significant. It feels important. It feels whatever you think it feels, in fact. And at any point, you can see what that means. And you can leverage it. You can utilize it. You can see it as opportunity rather than a pain in the arse that needs to be overcome, which it isn't. It isn't. It's a divinely brilliant system. It's perfect for creating. And the top news is you're already perfect creators because you're creating your reality right now. So great news. There is nothing I can or would endeavor to teach you about creating because you're doing it perfectly and you've been doing it all of your lives. The only question is, how much do you realize that? And over the course of the next hour together, me too, right? We're going to see how much of that we can realize and how much we can start to enjoy what we could imagine the way things could be. So I've been playing this game for a while now. I've been playing my version of the game. And my version of the game goes something like, if it feels amazing, I do it. And if it doesn't, I do something else. That's my version of the game. So feel free to borrow that, adapt it, adopt it, do with it as you wish. If it feels like it's phenomenally exciting to do, then I'll do it. And if it doesn't, I won't. And I don't bother thinking about my thinking or anything like that. It's a very, very simple system, which is really lucky. And if that feeling of what I should do is go and mow the lawn, then I'll do that. If it's go and drink a cup of coffee, then I'll do that. But what on earth could any of that have to do with growing a business? Well, of course, it has everything to do with it. Because everything is already everything. It's all connected. So by following the feeling of inspiration, we're just increasing the vibration into the world. And then our true desires, most of which are far beyond what we could comprehend consciously anyway, start to become visible within the field of experience. So you have two jobs this evening and all through the program, if you join for the entire program, certainly for the next few weeks. Number one is imagine what you'd love. And number two is enjoy the process. Now imagine if somebody told you that in primary school. Here you go, kids. This is what you've got to do. Imagine everything you want to create, everything you'd love to be, do, have in the world, the way you'd love everything to be, and then enjoy watching it appear. How cool would that be? So the invitation this evening is to do that. We're going to do that together. We're going to imagine how we'd love it to be. Not what you think is possible, because that's generally quite a limited way of thinking about things. But how would you love it to be? Now, you can pick any area of your life. You might want to pick your coaching practice, but you can pick anything. You could pick your health. You could pick fitness. You could pick a relationship. You can pick anything you like, but something you love where you can really begin to imagine how it would be. So have a think about that for a second now. What would you like to think about this evening? What would you like to imagine? What would be great to work on? I say work on. In the loosest sense of work, if you could call this work, what would you literally like to bring into reality, into creation? Because here's the amazing news. You're doing it already. It's not like it's not happening. You're effectively, all of us are looking at the inside of our heads. At some point, we thought all of this was a good idea. At some point, we thought we wanted the stuff around. Maybe you've got some stuff around like I have. I've got a bookshelf over there with all sorts of stuff on it. At some point, I thought each of those things that are on there was something that I would want to have in my life, or maybe even needed to have. Everything as I look around is accumulation of a psychic power that became thought, that turned into action based on a feeling, which was a belief, and came into reality. Pretty cool to know that. Pretty helpful to know that. And if you think of something and it's kind of like, yeah, not so sure about that, you don't have to think that. Just pick a different thought. There's nothing you need to think, ever. Could go further, actually. You don't even really need to think at all. There was a time when you didn't particularly think, you just moved. You simply were. And we can return to the simplicity, and we can enjoy what we've got. It's all good either way. No one's keeping count. The question is, what would you love? How would you love it to be? Now, the simplicity of this can almost sound confusing, particularly if the brain's full of, So if it's full of that, if that's, just look at the feeling. How does that feel? Yeah, I don't really like that. Cool, stop thinking it. Pick a different thought. I don't know what thought to pick. Just pick one that you like currently, one that will move your vibration upwards. And that will start to flex your ability to imagine. Because there's two really core components for the thriving coach. Number one is being able to, three core components. It's a bit like the Spanish Inquisition. There are three core components. Number one is be able to imagine what you'd really love to have in the world. Number two, allow it to happen. Number three, build capacity to sustain. The third one is something that isn't talked about very much. I guarantee all the things that you want, in some shape, degree, form, you'll have already tasted in your lives so far. You may have had them and then they've disappeared. And the secret to keeping that over time is to build capacity. Most people's capacity for living in an extraordinarily ordinary life is really low because no one talks about it. It's just not spoken about. It's not mentioned. So instead, the best that most people get is that. And they think that that's something out there, missing that it's in here. Translating to out there. And when you start to see these things and start to recognize them, and what I'm sharing starts to sink in, the game just gets more and more and more fun. Because you see it's only ever within you, and you can do something about that. As Steve Hardison says, you can shift who you're being a little bit or a lot. And you can do it in a heartbeat. And we all do it every day. You'll be cross, I think of examples when I've been cross with somebody, and like somebody, then the front door goes, and you go to the front door and you're like, hi, what happened to the cross, Dave? Where did he go then? Just dropped in an instant, vanished, gone. Oh, hang on. If it can happen kind of like that, is it possible that I can create that I can make that happen? Yes, of course. You can change who you're being in a heartbeat. So hopefully by now, everybody's got something that they'd like to consider for the evening, because we're here to consider, we're here to play, we're here to have a great time. That's the main point. And if you're not having a great time, think something different. Because you're creating it. You've only got to get a tiny glimpse of this for it to become just an inordinate amount of fun. So just take a minute if you haven't already, and I'll shut up for a second, and think about what you'd like to imagine for the evening. What would it be? Something in your practice? Do you want to imagine how clients could come to you? Just have a think about it for a minute. And then we get you involved. I don't want to listen to me for now. Oh, somebody put something in the chat. Yummy. Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, totally. Does this bring me joy? Yeah, absolutely. And if you choose to speak and share, like just feel completely free to do that. I'm not going to kind of put you on the spot or coach or anything like that. We're here to see what we can imagine together. And the more that we imagine as a group, there is some amazing magical stuff going on in this group. Somebody else I was talking to this afternoon about what's happening in their world. And they're like, this is crazy. I don't know where this is coming from. Right? It's you lot. It's me too. I'm not doing some kind of like humble brag or anything like that, but it's all of us together. When everyone comes together in this way and the vibration starts to raise, all sorts of stuff comes in all over the place. And you can then when you start to see it, you start to believe it and expect it. Then each day it's kind of like waiting for cool things to drop in. What a cool vibration to live from. Expecting cool stuff to land in your inbox or in your post box or whatever it is. Anyway, who's got something they'd love to share?
I'll share, Dave.
Yay!
Right, so this is my Imagineering.
Brilliant.
Right, I'd love a little small holding with a few chickens, goats, fields for camping and retreats and courses, just 5 acres of land. Not much.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
I think I shared that with you, Deborah, didn't I? When you said you were building your barn, and I was like, oh my God, that's my dream to have to do that.
Brilliant. I love it. I love it. Thanks, Joe. And how do you just, I mean, I think we could see from the like gleeful smile on your face. How did you
Surrounded
feel?
by animals. Yeah. I'd be in my element, Dave. I would.
Oh, wow. Listen to that.
I'd be in my
What a
element.
beautiful phrase. I'd be in my element. Oh, I love that.
Put my wellies on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. So that feeling, Joe,
Yeah.
becomes your calibration marker. You don't need to like hang on to the idea. Like the universe has got it. Like it's not a stretch for it to give you that. But the calibration marker is the feeling.
Mm.
What's it feel like? And then that's your benchmark.
Mm.
So your only job now is to raise your vibration and enjoy the journey.
Mm.
It's set.
I've said it.
Yeah,
Spoken
totally.
it now.
Yeah, ask and it's given. Oh, that's too simple. I need to work hard. Okay. Yeah, that's what you're getting.
Mm.
You can't have 50-something people just appear in a group from nowhere, like half of which you don't even know and have never come across you. You can't have that. How would that happen then? I've no idea. I've no idea how you'd make it happen.
Yeah.
I could completely see how you could just allow it to come into fruition, but I'd have absolutely no clue how you'd make it happen. None whatsoever. Beautiful. Love it. Thanks, Joe. Who else? Yay. Thanks, Vanessa.
My buttons are on the wrong, in a different place on this device. Okay. What came to me when you asked that question was amazing, outrageous health on every level.
Wow.
Yeah, and
God, I felt that.
it just raises me up. And I got to say, I'm pretty healthy to start with. So
Yeah.
I have this vision of operating, of turning on all these abilities and maybe even genes that aren't turned on yet.
Ooh, yummy.
Like,
yeah. Now you're talking my language.
Yeah.
Love it. I spent some time with a guy who spoke about that, actually, about raising your water vibration, because water shifts the DNA. It's really interesting conversation. I love it. What's the feeling like for you behind that?
It's very expansive and light and joyful.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. Wow. Thank you. I love that. Can you really imagine that?
I can imagine it in a way.
Yeah.
But it's so outside. What I'm talking about is so outside what most people experience that
Yeah, cool.
I don't have any touchstone for that. It's like in an unmapped area what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so the question was, can you imagine it? Not what can other people do? Can you imagine it?
Right. So for me, I don't have any examples of that. I've never really seen that. So I know it's fabulous.
That alone, isn't that like mind-blowingly incredible that you can imagine something that you have no touch points for?
Right.
Just
Yeah.
gives you a sense of what's on offer. Of like the edge of our imagination is the beginning of what's possible from the universe. Like, that's just mind-blowing. I love it. Thank you. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Fiona.
Yeah, so I have this vision of helping to bring about peace in the Middle East.
Oh, wow.
Um,
How's that feel?
so it feels very, very emotional. It's kind of difficult to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think your emotions speaking like really clearly. Yeah, beautiful.
And I mean, so when I've thought about it before, it sort of just feels like the right thing for me to do. So I've already started learning Arabic and Hebrew.
Wow.
And I've got this call. I've got this monthly call that I've started as well. I don't know why I'm getting so emotional.
That's brilliant. You honestly, it's beautiful. It really is. Look at it. That's just joy.
I think sort of, but it's kind of. It also feels very overwhelming, but it just feels so important. But it also feels crazy. You see what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, completely. Yeah.
I started this call called Fun on Fridays and Freedom from Fighting. And we just play games. but they're games that teach people to have better communication skills and just be more positive towards each other.
Wow.
The one that we did last time when we did it last Friday, it was just so positive and so happy, that it was like something I'd never experienced before.
Yeah. Wow.
Almost to the point that I couldn't stand so much happiness. It was like,
Yeah. Oh, wow.
you know,
Yeah. So when I said about building capacity, that's
yeah.
what I meant. Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it.
So I know, like, I've looked into what steps I need to take apart from learning the languages. There are some courses in mediation and stuff, like international mediation and things like that.
Yeah.
The one that I like the look of, it has a list of universities that they accept. Like if you've studied with like one of those universities, you can come and do the course. And of course, my university is not listed. And then they said the only other thing you can do is work for your government. So I've applied for a job for my government place where I live, and that one I've just applied for it. But I've noticed, like, what was incredible. Okay, I'll tell you, this is incredible. So I basically just said to myself, oh, I just want the perfect job, and I want it for government. And part of the reason I want to work for government is selfish reasons, like I know that people in the government don't work very hard and they'd probably be shorter hours. But because I was working at the library, which is run by government, which is like everyone's just like so laid back, and it's just I just couldn't believe it. So I said to myself, yeah, I really want this perfect job. And then I opened the government website and I saw the perfect job for me. And it was like, that job description is the history of my life. And I didn't even know that such a job existed. And so I applied for it. And then the next day, 3 more jobs that were almost word for word the same, but in different departments popped up.
Yeah.
I haven't applied for them yet, but I will do.
So I love it. It's beautiful. A really cool thing to notice is how it just appears for you. Because it's so like the thing is you can't do miracles, but you do get to see them. But you can't do your way to a miracle. So which is challenging because we're so used to just talking about doing, or what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? So one of my things at the moment is I'm ending homelessness.
Wow.
I think ending homelessness just entertains me massively. I just think it would be incredible. I think it's kind of like the ultimate sign of a failed non-compassionate society is having people living on the street, unless they particularly want to. And I have met people who want to. All good. So that's kind of like one of my giant games that I'm playing. But there's nothing to do. It's simply things are appearing. And my only job, in a sense, is to just enjoy the hell out of everything and watch it come into existence. Because at the energetic level, what you've asked for is already there. It's created instantly. And in a sense, our only job is to keep out the way and enjoy it. Allow it to happen. So I love that. I loved how emotional for you it was. Beautiful. Thank you. Right. Well, that's world peace done. Groovy. Anybody else? What else you got? Kerry! You're down in my corner. That's why I was looking down.
I'll go. Yeah. I'm not sure I can follow on from Fiona, but I will go. So firstly, thanks, Joe, because I feel like you've just given me permission to go to do some serious Imagineering.
Yay.
Because I
Yeah,
wasn't on
serious.
that
Make sure
level
you get
until,
really serious about it. Yeah.
yeah,
Work hard at it.
Until Joe said her bit, and I was like, she's on my wavelength, because obviously having horses is my Imagineering is actually having my horses at home, but without buildings. So the ladies that I work with can come and actually live and stay there and spend in time, like time with the horses, to learn, to grow, to get out, to discover who they are, like whoever, whatever background, wherever they're coming, especially my DV clients, but to actually discover who they are by just being around the horses and just being with them as much or as little as they want, as well as running like the programs and workshops that I do.
Wow.
So that feeling is just, there's like fire, there's passion, there's like joy and peace, and it's super emotional. So yeah, so thanks, Joe, for that. Thank you for kicking that off with what you said, because it was like, wow, I can go to that level.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful, isn't it? So starting, hearing others. So you notice the vibration on the call starts to raise as
Yeah,
everybody shares what their vibration is. It's like a giant cumulative permission frame to dream bigger, to
yeah.
imagine bigger. Wow.
It started off with Facebook
yeah,
posts, and then I was like, no.
totally. Yeah.
So thank you.
And from the universe's point of view, imagining that you could get free milk at Sainsbury's is the same as imagining that you can end a global war. It's no different. It's not, do you know what I mean? Creating a daffodil and creating a star is the same. It really doesn't matter. No worries, Julie. Good to see you. Wow. Is there any,
Thank you.
Carrie, is there any more you want to say about that? Because you really started to touch into some emotion there.
I don't know. I just, like, the more I spoke about it, the more I could just be like, I could just burst,
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's your
Without
calibration.
fail, Dave, the tears coming up. You most annoying creature.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Title accepted. Thank you. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. Any more?
Yeah, I will share
Yay.
about So I am kind of in the process of the creation. I had my dream that just seemed ridiculously impossible a couple of years ago, when I had the idea to buy a piece of land and build a home. And it was just like, it was so out of reach. The first time we went to view, I saw the piece of land and I just had, all of those feelings. It was like, this is my land. And I was just like, I said to the estate agent, this is my land, and my partner, this is where I'm going to live. And probably had about a couple of £1,000 in my bank or something, and a piece of land costs a little bit more than that. So it just it was totally ridiculous. And then on December the 1st last year, 2023, the land, now since that's when the sale went through and the land belonged to us. So the whole journey, exactly what you're describing, the whole journey of actually getting from a place of not that being the most ridiculous thing ever to actually having the money to then purchase the land, totally blew my mind.
Yeah.
And then we kind of found ourselves in this position of, oh right, yeah, we own this great, it's a building plot, but we own this great building plot, and it's like, now we need to build a house, and it's how do we do that? And so that we're kind of at that starting again, and I'm literally watching, and it is very much, I'm just seeing exactly like you say, it's just take the next step. And the minute that I get into this whole, yeah, but we're going to need like 200,000 to have this project finished. And it's like, yeah, but today, what do you need? And we had the water connected last week we had the borehole connected, and we had a bill for, well, actually the bill hasn't actually landed yet to pay, but it's like going to be about 1,300, and it's like, all you need in this moment, I don't need anything at all. I absolutely, yeah, the water is connected, but the bill hasn't landed. So, and I'm really seeing that as well. It's like,
Yeah.
even that story of we need 1,300 in this moment, I actually don't.
Exactly.
You know, the
Yeah.
bill hasn't even
Yeah,
landed
there is no
yet.
bill.
And
Yeah.
yeah, you know, it's like, I absolutely,
Yeah.
so very, very much just slowing down to, I can't even explain it. I know this house. I can, it's hilarious when people come to visit. I'm kind of like, yeah, you're just standing right next to where my sofa is now. Yeah, you're just standing, yeah, you're in my bedroom now. Yeah, you're right by, that would be exactly where the shower, you'd be standing in the shower now. So I know this. And those feelings, like we go to the land, and my partner, we're actually physically doing the build ourselves as well. So
Yeah.
like, I'm going there and we're physically doing it. And we were there the other day, and we have to, there's a barn, we need to take down a portion of the barn to build. So we were taking a portion of this barn down, and we stopped just for a minute because it was pretty hard work, and we were both a little bit tired, and we kind of sat there, and I'm just there going, I just love being there. Just
Yeah.
being there is just like, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
And I'm going, oh my gosh, this is just like a little bit of heaven, isn't it? And my partner's hilarious. He's looking at me. He goes, "Give me your glasses, Deb. I'll clean them." He says, "We're here." He said, "It's a muddy puddle. It's a muddy puddle."
Oh, wow.
He loves it too. He just pretends that he
Yeah,
doesn't.
that's
No.
amazing. Yeah, yeah. No, I feel the excitement.
It
Yeah,
is
that's
just,
so cool.
it's
And I
blowing,
love you just
it's blowing my
yeah.
mind and scaring me to death.
Yeah. Cool, right? And I love your distinction
Mm.
about the water bill. So
Mm.
so for me, when I was thinking, well, you know, what would be really fun to shift on a big level. And it was like homeless awards kind of bothered me. So the first thing I had to do was end homelessness in me,
Yeah,
because that's where it's held.
absolutely. Mm.
So that I don't project homelessness. So that was the first thing, was to look at that. Nice to see you, Vanessa. Thank you so much. Awesome. Fiona, yeah, you got, thanks, Deb. That was amazing. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just curious to ask you, what does it mean to end homelessness in you?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. Well, the only way we can see things externally is if they exist internally. So nothing can come and get you from the outside. Everything is essentially a projection from within consciousness. So to end something on the outside, you have to end it on the inside. Yeah. Yeah. So to end conflict externally, you have to end internal conflict. Because the world spent ages trying to end external conflict and wondered why it hasn't worked yet. Billions just thrown around trying to end something outside. There just isn't an outside. So you've got to find it in you, which essentially is a giant peacemaking exercise. Because obviously we can feel any way about anything. So yeah, it was really interesting when the penny dropped, and effectively it was like, oh wow, within me homelessness is over. Wow, amazing. And then interestingly, so the universe has an interesting habit of sending you tests to see where you are with it. So I was wandering through, it was Northampton actually with some friends, been to the gym, and just blown your mind. I like that. And yeah, so I was wandering through Northampton with some friends, and one of the friends said, should we give something to the homeless guys over there? And I looked and I went like, and not connecting to this at the time, but I went, what homeless guys? I simply wasn't seeing people that way. I just saw two guys. I didn't see them. They weren't labeled anymore internally as homeless guys. It was over. And that was breathtaking. When that clicked a short while afterwards. Because I couldn't work out what my friend was talking about. I couldn't see homeless people. I just saw two guys. So it is perfectly viable to not see conflict anymore, which sounds like madness. It sounds like lunacy. But that's how conflict ends. Because you can't fix it out there. Doesn't work. And when you kind of track this through, just notice your feeling state. So as I'm tracking this through, ending conflict, I'm just keeping an eye on where I am internally. Yeah, and keeping my vibration up. As I now get really excited at the idea of ending conflict. So conflict starting to be like whatever remnants of conflict are in here are starting to get shaken quite significantly because my vibration's going up. Just from being with you and sharing and talking with you and working it through. Maria, thank you.
This is difficult.
Yeah.
Because my first question is, where is my vibration?
Yeah.
I've lost my vibration. I quite like how.
Good news, you haven't actually, but I know
Thank you. That's reassuring.
Yeah, no, you really haven't.
But
You can't.
I quite like how I think Carrie said earlier that thank you, Dave, for giving us permission. And that word permission, I
Yeah.
think I need to give myself permission to dream bigger because
Can I just ask
nearly
you
a
a
year.
question about
Mhm.
how do you feel about the idea of giving yourself permission? Is that exciting or is it like
It is very exciting. It
Oh,
is very
cool.
exciting.
Cool.
Yeah. It is very exciting, and it is and it's a realization of two things. So a year ago, I had a dream of what I wanted to do, where I would see myself in X amount of time, but I don't see that dream anymore. My dream is kind of changed, but I haven't. My journey is continued, is grown, and I'm enjoying, and it's kind of like I'm just on a bicycle downhill kind of thing, not stopping, but enjoying, and hopefully I won't fall kind of thing. That's how I see myself right now.
Yeah.
But when I hear the burn of that lady that said, the first lady who spoke, Joe, I think it was, of that, I love that.
Yeah.
Surrounded by acres and all these big dreams.
So hang on a second, because you're and I want everyone to see this, so just forgive me for interrupting, right? But what you're doing really artfully is you're showing yourself contrasts of vibration by utilizing other things. So when you spoke about like your visualization, your imagineering of what Joe was sharing, did everybody feel the energy moved? Yeah, it got like the vibration literally sped up. It got quicker and quicker. Now that was a different feeling to when I asked you the question about permission.
Yeah.
So to remember
Yes.
early on, I said,
Yes.
yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Now you're
Yes.
starting to see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as soon as you
Yeah.
see it, what happens is your vibration goes up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So the mind can be tricky. It'll
I
try and
think,
own things.
yeah, I think I am frightened of dreaming
Ah, yeah.
because because a year ago I hadn't given the first step kind of thing, but I have now, given the whatever the step it is, the number.
Okay. So can
And
I offer one more thing?
Mm,
Sorry, I did say I wasn't going to do this, but I'm too excited, so I can't not do it, right? So when you come up with that there, and you find yourself going into a story which basically energetically is coming down. Any of you who've
yes.
been coached by me know this, know what happens when I sense that. I just stop the story.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
when you go down like a year ago, right? What none of us want to be doing is because energy just follows attention. So if we're putting attention on something that actually we just don't want,
Just stop
all
it.
we're doing is amplifying what we don't. You're just going to get more of it.
Yeah.
So the invitation is the moment that starts to happen, and this is about presence. You notice it and you think, oh, hang on, I'm going down a dead end here. I ain't going to be doing that. And you're back to, whatever it is, the small holding, the thing, whatever lifts your vibration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I love is that invitation for
Yeah.
Imagineering.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think
Yeah.
I will sit tonight and I will let it go.
Yeah.
I will let it go wherever it takes me.
Yeah.
And and I will follow that energy.
Yeah, totally. And just and
Yes.
it's not like a mega serious thing, but you just track it and you think, hang on, am I having a great time? No, cool, we'll just stop that then. and pick up where the great time left off. So somebody put a post, I got tagged in like really randomly, I think yesterday on Facebook, and it was somebody who had a methodology or some tools or whatever. And it was like, okay, fine, whatever. Somebody wanted me to see it. I didn't actually watch it, but I read the comments, and somebody had put about how they'd been working with this person and they'd been really focusing at getting across blocks. They really needed to get through the blocks. And so I just typed on there, can I make a suggestion? And eventually they came back and went, oh, for me, yeah, cool. So I'm just going to mention and go, I wouldn't worry about the blocks unless you want a lot more blocks. Because by putting attention on solving the block, energetically, all you're doing is vibrating the blocks, and you just simply get more of them. They'll be like whack-a-mole, they'll just keep appearing everywhere. You bash one on the head, and of course we see that on the global scale. All right, well, we solved that crisis there. Oh, we'll have a war on that one. We'll have a war on terror. Oh, that worked well, didn't it? Oh, and then it's up there again. So we're playing this constant crazy game that you can't. It's unbeatable. You can't win that one. You simply have to let it go and shift the game. And all we're doing really is we're stuck trying to play a crap game better. No, we just need a different game. And really that summarizes this program. It's a different game. That's really what it is. So thank you. That's cool. And keep checking in when you're doing it. It doesn't need to be hard work. Like, it really doesn't. You can, I know it sounds crazy. You can have all the fun in the world ending a world war. That really does sound crazy, doesn't it? Yes, Fiona.
So I recently found out after I started my call called Fun on Fridays and Freedom Fighting, where we play games, I found out that what's happening in the Middle East is people like clowns and circus artists and actors and people are going to the refugee camps and literally performing for them.
Totally, yeah.
And that's really helping them to heal.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. And if you think about it, people like Vera Lynn or whatever, the darlings of whatever, the energy draws, it knows, the universe knows. So even if we're sprinting off down the wrong track in our innocence, trying to solve things, it kind of, you know, it's going to correct it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I
It's
always
just,
thought,
yeah.
sorry, didn't interrupt.
No, go on, you Karen.
I always thought that singing and acting and things like that were my hobbies. And now I'm realizing, oh, they've actually got a purpose.
Yeah, yeah. That's beautiful though, because part of the enjoying is you start connecting the dots.
Mm.
You start to see how all these different things fit together.
Yeah.
So I was on a call with, so I'm on this Mad Fitness thing at the moment, and my eating started to sort out as well in the past sort of week or so. And I was on a call with a friend the other afternoon, and I was saying about, she does like these wilderness walks and stuff, and I was like, oh, that's amazing. Like, I'd love to do one of those. And I suddenly thought, oh my God, I wonder if I'm in training to go and do a wilderness walk. Maybe that's what all this sudden like crazy amounts of fitness and stuff is to do with it. But it feels like I'm in training for something. I'm not even sure, you know. I mean, I could claim vanity, why not? But I'm not even sure. It's like I'm training for something. I just haven't glimpsed what it is yet. But in the meantime, I'll go and, you know, lift bits of metal because I really enjoy it. And I'm trying my first iced plunge experience thing on Sunday. Look on Joe's face. She's like, what's wrong with you? Oh, I can't wait. And doing some breath work. I've never done that either. But apparently you need good breath work to do the ice plunge thing. So who knows? I'll feed back. I'll tell you what it's like. This is so cool. I'm just aware of the time, 5 to 8. And you're going to run for now. So any others? Anybody else like to share what you're imagining? Have you seen during the course of the evening your scope for imagining increase? Yeah, this is what happens when people come together and imagine. The vibration raises, so you can simply imagine more. The touch point between our imagining and what's universally available gets raised a little bit, gets more fun. And you can do this with anything. I mean, it doesn't have to be like the big stuff. It can be anything you want to create. It could be your business, your practice, whatever. How would you love to have clients come? Like, what would be your absolute favorite thing? What's the way you'd love them to appear? So one of my favorite games is that I love people appearing for no apparent reason, who I don't even know. That just entertains me no end. So I compare that when somebody says to me, are you doing this? I'm like, so I just kind of go inside and go, do I want to do that? Or do I want to watch people arrive and do things when maybe even they don't really know why they're there either? And it doesn't have to be an either or, it could be both. But I just simply think about the vibration. Which is it? Which is, my word is entertaining, which is more entertaining. Which do I just enjoy more? Then I go with that. And the final thing I would say is you don't need to hang on to this. So the temptation would be to take everything we've talked about and treat it deadly seriously, like it was something you really needed to work at, versus seeing it's a system. And all you've ever got to do is compare where you are in the system. So I think Abraham says something like, I don't think this is an accurate quote, but I'll get the spirit of it across. Your job isn't the law of attraction. That's not your job. Your job is to focus on what you want and have an amazing time. That's it. And not focus as in, not the hard work kind. Yeah. Literally get better and better and better at imagining what you'd love to bring into the world and then watch it appear. Okay, we're almost at 8 o'clock. So any final thoughts or any final shares before we wrap up for the evening? I want to thank all of you for coming and being so open and sharing. It's amazing. I'd love everybody to share their imagining in the group. Imagine 52 people, 54, I think it is today, actually, sharing their highest vibrational imagining in the world. Incredible. So if you feel drawn to do that, please go ahead and do that. Any final shares before we end? Cool. Harry says, thank you. Loved it. Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for being here. Oh, yeah. Ending homelessness inside you. Yeah. Thanks, Roshana. That's brilliant. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here. Great. Anything finally? I always just like to hang on because nearly always somebody just leaves it right to the wire. They'll kick themselves if they didn't speak. Okay, in which case, thank you very much indeed. Lovely to see you all. Keep enjoying the test drive. Keep playing. I have a bit of an offer coming out tomorrow, I think, because it's the 29th, and I thought it'd be fun to do something fun on a day that technically doesn't exist. So if you're thinking of, yes, you can. Absolutely, Fiona. Yeah, if you're thinking of joining the full program, then keep an eye peeled or drop me a message or something, because I've got something fun coming out tomorrow. Alrighty. Good to see everybody. See you again. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you very
I'll leave
much.
the room open just so I can catch up with Fiona.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you.
All right, you're very welcome.
Thank
Take care now.
you. Thanks.
Bye. I just stopped streaming.